Hello and welcome back to another episode of Red State Blues. I'm Ben. I'm here with Melanie today.
Hi there.
And we haven't had an episode in like a month or so, I think, at this point. So this is episode 29 we're doing today.
First one of this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first one of this year, I think. That's freaking awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I guess a year ago, we started this a little over a year ago, and I didn't really know what to expect, but I mean, I'm really happy that we're still able to keep it going.
Me too.
And thanks a lot for listening, the people that are listening. So we really appreciate it. I'm thinking about maybe starting like a website / not just a website, but we have a Facebook, but starting like a website connected with that, and maybe like a Patreon page, and also, among other things, maybe like, I don't know, like an Instagram or something like that. But I let me know what you think of that. If anybody listening is, what do you think of me adding more, like taking this up a little bit of a notch instead of right now? It's just sort of like something that we're doing in our little spare time here. Mm-hmm. I feel like that there's so many things that I'm constantly talking to Melanie about, and Melanie is too, to me, like, oh, we should do this on the podcast, or we should do this on the podcast, or this on the podcast. But then, I gotta go to work, you know what I mean? Yep. We're doing stuff with the kids, school, blah, 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 you know what I mean? And like, so it's all, there's always something in the way.
Yep.
And, but I really like to take it up a notch and spend more time on it. Anyway, let us know what you think, on the comments on the Facebook page or anywhere, or you can email us. I think it's Ben and Melanie Show at gmail.com.
Right.
Still. So,
yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, we want to know what you think. I mean, we really need to.
They haven't been sued yet, anyway, for changing their name to Red State Blues, which I still think was an awesome name. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was listening to Michael Moore's podcast lately. He did like a 12-episode thing called Red Dots in a Blue Sea. Or no, I'm sorry, Blue Dots in a Red Sea. I got that reversed.
Yeah.
Blue Dots in a Red Sea. And it's all about how rural voters can take back their sort of areas for liberals. Not take back, but kind of stress some control over local government, I suppose, in some areas.
You can make change. It just takes time and lots of talking to people.
Yeah.
And organizing.
I just had to change setting on the microphone, so I just had to go away and come back for a second. Again, no. So Michael Moore's podcast, he's been talking all about, let me think, like, well, really, I guess the Traverse City area, but changing that, I guess 3 townships up there went blue. Mm-hmm. He said when he first moved there, they had literally 2 dues paying Democrats, I guess, in the whole county.
Yeah.
I guess Antrim County, right, or something like that. And now they have 400, and they're very well organized, very well, you know what I mean? They've managed to get a lot of voters up there. I'm not going to say that they control anything, but they've got a lot of people to vote who otherwise, from what he's saying, probably wouldn't have voted.
Yep. And
they've given them hope, maybe. Right. And I think that hope is very powerful. And it's not like our county, Macomb County here, is just going to flip or something. That's not going to happen. But Michael Moore is he's not recommending to try to convert Trumpers to not being Trumpers, that's not going to happen. Just don't, but maybe the thing is you could get your message out there, get it organized and make Democrats that maybe have dropped out of the system to drop back into voting. Maybe there's a lot of people who have just, I get it, have given up,
right? Just
completely given up on the system, given up on, everything related to politics, because they just think that there's no way they can do anything. Mm-hmm. And the way it is to engage those people, and he would argue that that's, at least in a lot of these counties out here in rural areas, there's probably, it's not it's not 100% Republicans anywhere. It's like 30, it's like 70-30 maybe.
Yeah.
Like 30% of the people, if you're in a town that's 10,000 people, like if 30% of those people are Democrats, that's 3,000 people.
Right. And
So
those votes count. And especially they count exponentially more on local elections, such as townships, villages, county elections.
mhm.
If you can talk to more people about getting out and how this impacts them, if they would just vote on certain things, yeah, you can make change.
Anyway, I felt kind of like inspired by it a little bit. I feel like I need to do more. This podcast is a lot of fun and everything like that. I don't know how much of an effect I don't know how much of a change it's having on anybody. All I feel like is I'm just screaming into the void and getting stuff out to the zeitgeist, kind of. I don't know if anybody cares. But maybe if somebody listens to this and then somebody else listens to it, and then somebody else, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's only like 7 degrees of separation or something, so you never
Right.
know. But
Yeah.
I think we successfully killed the concept of the Rust Belt. I
Yeah.
don't hear the Rust Belt
Me
anymore.
either.
I heard Biden said stopped using that a while back, and then no one, NPR especially, was guilty of using that word over and
the
over.
time.
Yeah, and they stopped. So I'm happy that we started complaining about that, and suddenly now no one's using it. So I'm like,
Yay.
um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing.
yeah. No, I just think that. Anyway, back to what we were saying. I really think that like the people can make a difference in rural areas, even though you're meant to believe you're like the only people
Mhm.
in your entire township or county that believe the way you do. It's
Not
just not the
true.
case.
We all feel like
that's a
that.
myth. It's a lie.
I
Yeah.
feel like I felt like that when we started this podcast. Like I felt like one of a handful of people in the area that
Yeah, and I
were
think that
liberal.
that's
And
yeah.
part of it is because Democrats just don't put signs out.
Maybe they
as
don't.
much.
And maybe they don't, and maybe they're a lot less well organized out in places like this. I don't think they're funding places. It's not like there's a. Well, actually, I'm not sure if there's a Democrat office in Greenville. There used to be. I don't think that there is anymore that I'm aware of. If they had an office though somewhere around here and like
Yeah.
a local party headquarters, and you know, were active in the community,
Right.
like then maybe they would get a little more recognition, and some people voting for it
Right.
more likely to vote that weren't voting again. I think he was very clear. Like you're not going to get those far right people. You're not going to change their minds.
Nope.
Don't even try. Just
Yep.
be like, hey, if you got a big Trump sign on your truck or in your lawn, like just, yep, good for you.
I'll go to your neighbor that
go to the
doesn't
neighbor.
have a
Yeah,
sign,
yeah,
and we'll talk
exactly.
to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the.
Because like I've talked to people too that are like still they're young people that do not vote because they think that their vote doesn't matter or their vote doesn't gonna matter, and it's just like I was talking to them like my whole generation was accused of apathy and they couldn't get them out to vote, and you know what, when we started to vote in mass we did start changing things. Your vote does matter. Every single one of our votes matters.
Really?
Yes.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
What did you change? What
Me
did-
personally?
What did Generation X change? I guess is my question. When Generation,
We are the example of apathy of what
Yeah.
not to do.
Oh,
That's
is
how
that
we
what you're
changed
saying?
it.
I was gonna say I don't believe
And
that at all.
I'm like on the. I don't fit in with a lot of the Gen X.
I
stuff.
feel like the
I'm,
Gen
like,
Xers,
on
if
the
anything, actually
millennial end of it.
voted in Bush twice, and we got a lot of wars out of Gen X lack of voting. I'd say, if anything,
Yep.
because all the boomers voted and their kids
And
didn't.
locally,
So
like really bad things happen for jobs here and worker rights in Michigan when people stop
well,
voting and
I
fighting
think that
for
like
things.
now the change is afoot.
Yeah.
And now we can see the change happening now. I mean, especially with gerrymandering now in Michigan being illegal, which
Yep.
it should be illegal everywhere.
Yeah.
The Democrats have full control over the state government for the first time in like my lifetime.
Mhm.
So now we're actually going to see like that right to work law very likely is going to be repealed
can't
quite
wait.
soon. Which all that is, if anybody's unfamiliar with what right to work is, Michigan, it's kind of insane that Michigan's even a right to work state at all because we're like the center of the union movement, really.
Yep.
But Michigan passed the right to work law. I want to say like in 2012, somewhere around there.
Yep.
And well, that is basically you get union representation even if you're not paying union dues.
Yep.
If you're working in a union shop,
Yep.
or any place that has a union,
Yep.
they have to represent you no matter whether you're paying them or not. So it was just a way to bankrupt the
Underfund.
unions, to underfund them.
That's like a
So
favorite
that's-
tactic of the GOP. That if they can't win face to face, then they go around the backside and underfund it.
And-
Public schools, everything.
What they're going to do, it sounds like very, very likely, is that the Democrats, now that they control the state government, is they're going to quickly get rid of that. So now, if you want union representation in Michigan, you're going to actually have to pay your union dues,
Yep.
which is going to be good for everybody. So, which is, I guess somebody could just start paying their dues and then stop or something. but if nothing else, then they still paid something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's it's for the best for the unions if they want to have.
Ever since the trajectory from Ronald Reagan trying to union bust,
Oh yeah,
it just went out, down and down.
yeah.
And
I don't agree. That's a quite. Do you?
And it's the worst thing that happened for workers.
Well, you know what just happened too with Biden. Biden just did the same thing with the railroad workers.
Yeah, I did think that was right.
I don't agree with that either.
I was okay with that.
And that's where it's like I kind of refuse to be counted as a Democrat in some ways because I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Either be for social change and social justice, not just social justice, actual justice,
Not
for
only when
workers'
it's
rights or
convenient.
not. But not only just when it's convenient. Yeah,
Right.
it's like, oh, I'm sorry, your stuff's going to take a couple days longer.
Oh no, we're gonna
Yeah, I
miss
know.
Christmas stuff.
Oh my God, all
it's
this
gonna
stuff.
be late. Oh no.
Yeah, just force them back to work. You know what I mean?
No,
It's just
they
like,
should have rights. Teachers too.
I mean, when all they're asking for, I think, was like sick leave.
Yeah,
It's just like fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
Like
they weren't
just
asking for.
I don't agree with what Biden did there.
Mm-mm. Nope.
So I have a really hard time calling myself a Democrat. I obviously respect my favorite presidents were Democrats. I respect Democrats. I like, I definitely vote for Democrats, but I have a really hard time considering myself like I'm not like a registered Democrat.
Me either.
And I'm not like I don't pay the
I don't
Democrat
pay the
Party
dues
money.
I don't pay money to them.
So like that's
I support
actually
the candidates I believe
yeah,
in.
yeah, and I don't think that we've ever really said that on this podcast or anything like that. I'm sure I probably called myself a Democrat before, but I mean I definitely am not like an official
Yeah.
Democrat or anything like that, and I don't agree at all with what Biden did there, and I think that sort of wishy-washy shit like that that hurts the Democratic Party.
Definitely.
And it hurts the movement of more workers' rights in the country.
Yep.
And it hurts progress in my mind. So.
Yep, I agree.
But I know they got to get their toys for Christmas. Everybody's got to get their toys for Christmas. But trains? What trains? There's no trains here. Not in this part of Michigan.
Yeah,
anyway.
they took them all
They
out.
took them all out.
Rails to
So
trails.
that doesn't matter to me anyway. But yeah, they're all trails now. We like trails here, not trains. We transport ourselves with bikes, not trains. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I really like them. I really liked Michael Moore's series of podcasts. He did like one daily or something for like 12 days. I didn't listen to every single one. I'll listen to many of them though. I did, and I think that really he's just talking directly to people like us, people like you who are listening, probably people not even necessarily Democrats, just that people that see injustice in the system and who live in rural areas who feel like there's nothing they can do. He's just saying that they definitely can if you live in rural Michigan or Oklahoma or Iowa or anywhere. Your vote really matters a lot.
Yeah, and I think that
getting
was
involved
proven
with local civics matters a lot.
For our state. It was proven too with the constitutional amendment for abortion. How many people that I talked to when I was gathering signatures for that were just like
went all out on that.
They weren't all Democrats.
And now there's like no way they cannot outlaw abortion in this state. It's not going to happen. Not now, not ever.
But that's what can happen, folks, when you actually believe in something. Grassroots gathering people together, getting signatures, doing the work. It's the same thing with
Yeah, change
canvassing.
comes from the bottom up.
Yeah. Yep. We
Change
can
comes from
affect
the bottom
change.
up. And the and that goes, I think, the same for the local anti-wind movement around
Yep.
here.
And they
That
won.
apparently was a bottom up movement, and that
Hmm.
worked, and they
Yep.
won. So I mean, like that's the
Because
same thing.
we all get feel disenfranchised by politics because we think that
Mm-hmm.
because of campaign finance the way it is that you have to be like a millionaire block of people to like
Well, they do. They
get.
do exude on large amounts of influence.
They
Millionaires,
do,
billionaires.
but they
Mhm.
forget that a bundle of arrows, man.
Oh yeah,
A
yeah,
bunch
yeah,
of
yeah.
people
Oh,
can
you're right.
change you and steer
Yeah,
you in a
I agree
different
with you.
way. We
Yep.
can make you the chef in Ratatouille by pulling
Mm-hmm.
your hair in different directions. The people
Mm-hmm.
can. You forget who you're standing on. If we all stand up, the table goes over and you're not standing on nothing. So you need to remember that. Like, you can affect change even if you think you can't. Even if
Mm-hmm.
you're not a millionaire, even if you can't like run for president or you don't want to run for president, you can make change on the local level and it does go up from there. It is possible.
I wanted to say, speaking of this, I'm not trying to like. We can go back to this.
Yeah.
I wanted to read this little article that I just stumbled upon on Reddit a while back. It's from the Guardian anyway. This is it's titled. This is speaking of funding. This is funding from the top. The people from the top trying to influence things. But group aiming to sabotage Whitmer's COVID policies was apparently funded by dark money. A nonprofit affiliated with the utility DTE Energy funded effort to repeal Michigan's governor's emergency orders powers. And this has to do with during the pandemic, she used her emergency powers to do the lockdown, right? And
Mm-hmm.
apparently, DTE and other, among others, it says here, DTE did not like the lockdown. And so a direct money nonprofit link, I'll read the article really quick, but a direct money nonprofit linked to power utility DTE Energy funded a group behind the effort to repeal the energy order powers of Michigan's Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer and in the state's COVID lockdowns, 19 lockdowns and restrictions. IRS records uh, IRS records revealing a $100,000 donation made in 2020 were not publicly available until late 2021 and show the funds were contributed to another dark money uh, nonprofit, okay, that served as a primary funder of the Unlock Michigan repeal campaign. So that's where it's like you think that this stuff is coming from the ground up, right? And you want to believe that, but no,
Nope.
no, it was not. This is coming from big gas companies,
Mm-hmm.
essentially big electric companies.
Yep.
They did not like that people were not using their utilities enough, probably. Industry observers say utilities generally oppose lockdowns during the first wave of the COVID restrictions. Many voluntarily or were required to stop shutting off service to financially struggling customers. So they couldn't shut off your service during the lockdowns. So that cost them money,
So they,
so
they
that probably cost
retaliated.
their stocks money or
Yep.
whatever. Yep. Unlock Michigan was ultimately successful, complicating Whitmer's efforts to order restrictions and ending any serious discussion of shut-off moratoriums. That included DTE, the state's largest utility. DTE was willing to use an incredible amount of money by any means they have to control our state's policies. Says Art Reyes, director for the We the People Michigan, a consumer advocacy group that campaigns for utility and industry reform. Michigan was a global flashpoint in the cultural and political fight over how governments should handle COVID. Whitmer's lockdowns were effective at controlling the virus's spread, but right wing opposition to the restrictions accumulated with multiple protests and armed protesters storming the state legislature in mid 2020. Against this lockdown backdrop, the DTE affiliated Dark Money Group made its contribution. Anyway, I won't keep reading. I'm sorry. I know I'm guilty of just constantly reading things in this podcast. I'm going to try not to do that too much here. But you get the point, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, that's, yeah. Basically, DTE, among others, definitely funded that from the rich person's perspective. I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine that there wasn't like DeVos money somehow in there too, and billionaires like trying anything they could to stop her, even though I'm sure they tried to imply that it was from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not Michigan, so my little small business can succeed. It's just like,
Right.
uh huh. All right. Um, well, like, not like I'm anti small business, but I feel like sometimes there was many quote unquote small businesses formed. I feel like during the pandemic they got a lot of
Money.
small business aid.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Anyway, uh, speaking of that, I think there was another one. Oh yeah, related to Gretchen Whitmer in the state. I think that like we there was an article saying that we're going to have like a 9 point some billion-dollar budget surplus,
Which is crazy awesome.
which is amazing. So apparently, financially, the state's doing great. Apparently, according to the Detroit Free Press, we're going to be in a recession or are in a recession, but I don't know anybody who can't. I don't know. I'm unaware of anybody who can't find a job who's looking for one, which doesn't feel like a recession to me.
Right.
Maybe there's a recession for shareholders of major corporations. Maybe there's a
Maybe.
recession for real estate investors. I don't know. Maybe there's a recession, but I can't think of for working people anyway how things are really bad. In fact, I know of many unfilled jobs where they're
Yep.
getting to the point where they're having to pay more and more,
Yep.
which I think of for working people anyway as a benefit.
Yep.
So like that definitely benefits people like me,
Mm-hmm.
and I imagine it would benefit other people that listen to this. So that's silly to me. The Detroit Free Press thinks we're in a freaking recession. Anyway, we have a huge budget surplus.
Yeah.
So and that's right away. Gretchen Whitmer and I'm assuming the state legislature
Yep.
is planning on giving a tax refund of like $3,000 per working family for every whatever. I'm assuming there's an income threshold there. I don't know what it would be, but every working family, whatever that means, is going to get a $3,000 tax refund.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this year, supposedly. I don't know if it's passed yet, but it sounds like it's pretty likely.
Yeah.
And that's about 700,000 families, according to, which is just great. You know, they're obviously they need the money.
Right.
People are going to spend it. They're not going to hoard that wealth. Like it's just going to go right into the hands of their landlords anyway. So I don't really see what the problem is. So I don't understand why rich people are against Democrats sometimes
Right.
because they just. The Democrats ship the money to the poor people, and the poor people give it right on back to the rich people.
Right.
So,
And
yeah, I don't know.
That was
Whatever.
another problem I had with that article, and it was in the Detroit Free Press saying that it said a lot of Michiganders still have that stimulus money in their bank accounts. So I'm like, what pipe are they smoking?
Yeah.
Because
I don't know
everybody
about
that got that had to pay rent with
Yeah.
it. Like they had to pay their bills with that.
Mhm.
And it was proven. Like there's been studies on where that money went, and it went right back up.
Right back into the economy, yeah.
Yep.
I think that like a lot of upper middle class people probably took that money and kept it or threw it in their investment account or whatever the heck. A lot of upper middle class people, maybe middle class people. But I mean, once you start hitting lower middle class, people had to spend that shit on bills, man. Spend on toys for their kids for Christmas and shit.
Yep.
Like that's not, that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they're coming up with that. Obviously, it's probably their like personal experience or whatever. Yeah, because they make enough as a reporter where they can just hoard the money.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we all don't make that sweet Detroit Free Press money. Whatever that is. You know, Jesus.
Yeah, really.
Dear God.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, that's. I just wanted to I don't know if I had anything else to talk about in the state news really, other than that. I wanted to kind of relate all that together. I think Gretchen Whitmer is a great freaking governor. Probably maybe the best that we've had in my lifetime. And I'm speaking as a fan of Granholm and stuff too. But Gretchen Whitmer sure seems to be doing. Part of it, she's been tested, so like she's had to go through like these incredible adversarial situations, like people attempting to kidnap her, people like you know what I mean, and the pandemic, just horrible situations, and she's like really came out ahead.
Yep.
You know, so I just think that she's a pretty amazing person. So
I can see why there have been mumblings of her running or being picked for a presidential candidate, but which would be great because she's awesome. But I also don't want to lose her. And in some future,
she probably would make a
election.
great. I didn't even think about that, but you're right. She probably would make a great presidential candidate.
Yep. But
better than Kamala Harris. I don't know. I just do not really. It's not that I'm not a fan. I don't really have any opinion on her. Actually, I didn't like her her during the debates, I didn't really like her because I didn't think she was progressive enough.
I thought she was too much on the conservative
Yeah,
side, far as
she
prisons.
is. It's funny that Republicans hate her so much, but in reality,
She's tough on
she has
crime.
a lot of commonalities with the Republicans. She's pretty far to the right,
Yeah,
in my mind, on a lot
far
of
as
stuff.
crime goes. Yeah. Yep.
So I feel like I don't think that she would represent me at all really that well. Of course, I would have said the same thing about Biden too. I mean, I'm not saying that I wouldn't vote for her though.
Right.
I would get behind her, but I feel like I kind of had this weird combination of like freedom, you know what I mean, and also liberal. Like I want like the government to be there to like have your back, but I want you to be free to go out in the woods and like piss and drink a beer and shoot your gun up in the air too at the same time. Like I don't know. Like I feel like I'm
You're an American liberal.
I'm an American liberal. I feel like I agree with Hunter S. Thompson's philosophy. You know what I mean? Like he owned guns and did a lot of drugs and did whatever the fuck. Like yeah, we should be free to do drugs and shoot guns. You know, this is America. You know what I mean? But we also should have expectations of our government that our government's gonna like help people in need too.
Right.
You know, like you can have both. You know, and I feel like that's not. That's something that both parties don't really like.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like both parties want to have a separation there. They're like, well, if you're pro gun, you got to be a Republican, and if you're, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're a liberal, you have to be anti-fun, basically.
Right.
Like that's how a lot of Republicans see the liberals, I think, or Democrats. It's just the anti-fun
if you have
party.
fun, you have to.
They're going to regulate everything to death
Yeah.
and not have anything.
Yep.
It's just like there has to be a middle ground.
Yep.
Yeah, because there's vast areas of the country where they just this isn't Europe. They're right. You can't. It's not going to be like Europe. There isn't like somebody living on top of you if you live in the middle of freaking Wyoming or something. You should be free to just own your guns out there or whatever the hell.
But I also like regulations. Like I don't want poop in my food.
Mm-hmm.
I want FDA
I agree with you there.
Okay?
Completely.
So I want that,
and
and I want people, to be safe in the meatpacking industry.
We would be a much better country if we could just get the healthcare thing under control. Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just not. And then anyway, so I'm just speaking, I think, from a very rural perspective, and I know a lot of Democrats would disagree with a lot of what I say.
Mm-hmm.
I am sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm used to being disagreed with.
I am sure that
by the right and the left.
Yeah, I'm sure that they disagree with you too, probably, and we disagree too.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were just talking last night about guns. And again, like we don't always agree on everything,
nope.
So that's maybe we can just leave that there. So we don't want to create a fight on the podcast, but like yeah, we don't always agree on everything. That's for sure. So, but they should be teaching responsible gun ownership anyway. We both agree about that. If you're gonna own a gun, you need to be responsible.
Yep.
Can't be reckless, so that's how people get killed. Anyway, I don't know if I really had anything else I wanted to add today. Let me check through the notes here really quick to see if there's anything else.
I just wanted to quickly mention that we have stumbled upon a really cool lady podcaster, YouTuber, who lives in the Upper Peninsula and is making pretty awesome videos about Michigan.
Yes.
And for a Michigan podcast, we
yes,
need to
that's right.
thumbs up our Patriots.
Yeah, we want to plug her as much as not like she needs us plugging her because she gets like
way more subscribers.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of views and everything. But her name's Alexis Dahl. She apparently lives in Marquette. And this is like that's the base of her YouTube channel, but she's always doing all kinds of awesome shit about the geology formations in the UP, about the history of Michigan. Like I feel like I just stumbled upon secret places in Michigan. It's all like a totally awesome. She did one about the Memphis Trail. I'm just like scrolling through her YouTube channel here. Yep. Man, it is a great YouTube channel. I wish that I just squish. This is like what YouTube was meant for,
Right.
in my mind.
Right.
Like this is just the best thing ever. So, and I think she used to be some sort of PBS host or something like that,
Yep.
right? PBS somebody or something or other. But yeah, no, freaking awesome.
Yep.
So
Yep, she's cool. So check her out.
check her out. Donate to her, man. Like she has a Patreon. I know that.
Yeah, support
Like she
fellow
needs to
Michiganders.
keep doing what she's doing.
Yep.
This is the right thing to do.
So if you
So
ever hear
it's-
of us,
yeah.
probably not. But yeah, we really like your stuff.
Yeah, that's true. And there was one little other thing we should close with that. Actually, probably shouldn't we? I don't know. I completely forgot about this. Just in the news currently, really, really quick, they were talking about natural gas stoves
Yep.
being like super dangerous for everybody, and now that's like become like a big debate about everybody's having online right now. I just thought I'd just mention it. I didn't know what anybody thought of that. I've had natural gas stoves. I do agree that they're better to cook on, but I probably would toss it if I thought I was like poisoning my kids.
Right.
So that's my way on it. I like natural gas for cooking, but it's not like a need thing. It's just kind of like a nice thing.
Yeah.
So if I thought it was poisoning my kids, probably no, I'd throw it out. But
And I've
Yep.
heard lots of arguments from right-wing people saying that, oh, you're trying to control how we cook. You're trying to control everything. Well, you try to control my body, so you should shut up about my body.
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I know.
I rarely
You're
swear
trying to
on
control
here, but
women's
shut
bodies.
The fuck up.
Like Jesus fucking Christ.
We're trying to keep
They're like-
you
they're
alive
like- they're like-
without
yeah.
asthma, okay?
Yeah, I know,
Your
like,
kids are safe.
They're the ones complaining
whatever.
always about like
But if you want to
controlling
give them, you know,
regulation.
carbon
and they're
monoxide
won't
all the
let-
time, go
they
ahead.
won't- They want to regulate women's vaginas, basically.
Yeah.
They want to regulate
Yeah.
fucking. God damn.
Mhm.
Oh, they want to regulate fucking.
Mm-hmm.
I should just say it's fucking that they're regulating.
Yeah, they're really
Goddamn.
concerned with what you
Yeah,
do
what
with
you
your
do.
genitalia.
Awfully concerned.
Yep.
Yes, and so
what you do with it, what you call it.
yeah, they're being hypocrites.
How you wear your
so.
hair, apparently. I don't even know. Anyway.
We should stop there. Yes, Alexis Dahl has nothing to do with
that.
politics.
Nope,
nothing to
she's
do with
not a
anything.
political channel.
Not at all.
It's just
nothing.
interesting little
Everybody,
places in Michigan.
yes, everybody would like that channel.
Yep.
I think if you live in this state.
We
So,
think that our listeners would probably be keen on it
Yep,
also.
definitely. Okay. Well, I think this is not a very long one, but oh no, I got like 30 minutes there. That was longer than I thought it would be. Okay. Anything else for today?
Just wanted to quickly mention that I love Deb Haaland, and she is the U.S. Department of the Interior head. Anyways, we got rid of more places that use the S word, and the S word is an Indian word that means a part of a woman's genitalia. Anyways, and there were lots of places around the United States that were like that word falls or this word river, whatever. Anyway, 5 places got renamed, which is super awesome. Because who wants to go buy a place that's like profanity, basically? So, anyways, I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, I think I heard something about that too. They changed a bunch of names.
Yeah, and they do
Only
this all
the
the
Department
time.
of Interior could do that. The Department of Interior.
Yeah.
It's arguably probably one of the more powerful positions that like no one knows anything about.
Right.
But I think it's like freaking half the country is essentially controlled by the Department of Interior.
Yep.
And that I think that the people out west are probably more aware.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not sure how much that doesn't influence us in Michigan as much, or at least not in the Lower Peninsula anyway. But I think that out west, it's vast areas, and then I think that reservations fall under that as well, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
that's why it would definitely
The Bureau of Indian Affairs is underneath.
falls under the Department of Interior, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So
Anyways, that's cool. There's more. There's over 650 sites that still have to be changed, but at least 5 of them.
Mhm.
That's a start. Yay! I'm excited. So, anyways, woohoo!
yeah. On that note, I guess I didn't really have anything else today. So
No, I'm good. I think that I wish everyone a wonderful week. Hopefully, we'll see that yellow orb again, called the sun in the sky that we have not seen. So.
And on that note, everybody have a good week. And Bamapi,
Guabamin.
Motherfucker.